Hey everyone, this is Matthew Kent and welcome to my bullet journal masterclass. Does anyone else think the word masterclass is overused? Am I the only one? So here's the deal. About 2 years ago, I recorded a video about my first ever bullet journal, this one right here. And the video did really well and I got a lot of really good feedback from it. And I've been getting requests ever since then of people saying, hey Matthew, when are you going to shoot another bullet journal video? And the truth is, I've wanted to for a long time because I've learned a lot in the past 2 years about journaling, about productivity, about goal setting, about all of these things. And so I've wanted to record a video that kind of shares all that I've learned in a way that's helpful for beginners and that people who have been journaling for a long time will be able to watch and get something out of. And so that's why I'm recording this video that you're watching here today. So I'm calling this video my masterclass because I'm going to try to pack as much actionable information as I can into it as concisely as possible to be to as much benefit to you as possible. It's going to be kind of a hybrid of several different styles of video. It's going to be an introduction to the bullet journal for those of you who are just getting started. It's going to be a walkthrough of my journal so I can teach you by what I'm doing and show you all the tips and tricks that I've picked up. And it's also going to have a bit of an advanced component so that I can pack in some really advanced strategies for productivity, for designing your life, and for getting the results that you want out of your journal. Whew! All right, so with all that out of the way, let's get started. Come on. All right, so this is my actual physical journal, and it's a Leuchtturm 1917. Thank you to all my German friends who corrected my abysmal pronunciation from the last video and told me that this word means lighthouse, which is kind of cool. Now, this is a size A5. It's black. It's dotted. That's actually the most important part, probably. It's the hardcover version. And, my old one here, this is from last year. This is the size A4. It's the larger one. It's the soft cover. You can see here I had the sticker that I put on. It comes with these stickers. And my daughter was helpful enough to add her own little artistic mark here. She was 2 at the time. And she's still 2, actually. So when I'm done with a journal, this was my first bullet journal ever, I just marked the number. So my next one's going to be number 2. This was number 1, and the dates that I used it from to help me when I'm looking at it later. But the really important thing, if you're just getting started when you buy a journal, in my opinion anyway, is that you want a journal that is dotted. You have journals that come with just a blank page. You have some that are ruled. You have some that have the grid lines. The dotted gives you the structure of the grid lines to work with, but the clean look of a blank page, because the dots kind of blend into the background a little bit, once you start writing on there. And so you're able to write in nice clean lines, but it just looks a little bit better, in my opinion, than having the grid lines in there. So yeah, there you go. That's my actual physical journal. I'll show you my pens here. I've got a little pen case. And there's a 3-pack that I buy of, it's called Micron archival ink. That's really important. That means it's going to last for 100 years, which you want this stuff to last. So the brand is Pigma, and it's a Micron pen, and it comes in 3 different sizes. And you can kind of tell that I use the smallest one the most because my darn sweaty hands have worn off all the markings here on this one. So I've also got a couple of rulers in there, real cheap, bought on Amazon. The rest of these pens are pens that I use outside of my journal. So really it's like the bullet journaling stuff is on this side here. Yeah, so then one of the things that's cool about the Leuchtturm as opposed to other variations, because there's also the Moleskine, and then Ryder Carroll, who's the creator of the bullet journal, he sells one that looks a lot like this, but it says bullet journal here, and it's got a cool little lightning logo. Personally, I like the minimal branding, but the one from Ryder Carroll and this one both come with a table of contents already set up, so that saves you a little bit of time. You can see that I messed some stuff up here right when I got started. But it's nice to have a table of contents. You can reference different pages where you have different things. And yeah, so to get started here, at the beginning of every journal, in case I change it, I always put what bullets and signifiers that I'm going to use. And so this is kind of at the core of a bullet journal in general. And it's what makes a bullet journal sort of a wonderful and flexible system is that any log that I can create, I can use these little shorthand to designate different things. Like a task would be a dot, or a note would be a little hyphen there. An appointment or an event is a circle. So I can very clearly, if I'm putting something down as like a task that I need to do versus like an appointment that I need to go to, it's easy to see and differentiated. And then I can also add detail in terms of, something that's important or that I have a deadline for. I use that lightning bolt a lot, which is having an idea. And then this here, I thought about devoting another page to it, but I really didn't know how much room I was going to be taking up in my journal. I really wanted to keep one journal per year. So, I didn't want to run out of room by the end of the year. So I condensed these to 2 pages. A lot of people do the word of the year thing. I first learned about it from Chris Guillebeau, and I decided on create. And so I've got different things to create there, create experiences, create memories, create something useful, something beautiful, create something from nothing. It's kind of a fun one. And, these are kind of things that I think probably every year, this will be the very first thing in my journal. And the word of the year is going to be the second thing. And then the next things are also the same. So one of the key components of the bullet journal system is the future log. Because the idea is, with a bullet journal, there's nothing that's pre-made in here. It's all blank pages. And so you're coming up with the system yourself. And so in order to have a calendar that works, you need to kind of have an at-a-glance calendar that lets you look into the future. So, things for November of 18, I can just start listing them here. And then when it comes to November of 18, I know what's going on because I had a place to record it. So Ryder Carroll, the creator of the bullet journal, has a wonderful minimal way of creating the future log, which is just 3 lines dividing the page into thirds. I added the kind of normal calendar view that we're all used to looking at, and just because this is a way that my mind works now, is I see time, if that makes any sense, this way. At least I see months this way. And so I decided to keep that. But I'll put different events or tasks or whatever here, or like a little note for myself, and then that way when it comes time to create a spread for, let's say, December of 2018 this year, I'll sort of know what's going to need to be put on there. This right here is something that is a really big deal to me, and it's going to go in the beginning of every journal that I get from here on out, and I'm going to write it by hand, the whole thing. It's however many pages. And my 10-year plan for a remarkable life. So I was listening to the Tim Ferriss show one time, and I heard Debbie Millman talk about her 10-year plan for a remarkable life. And it's so critical because I think for a lot of us, we're too scared to commit to what we really want, and we never even take the time to define what we want. And so you see here, this one I came up with in 2017 with my wife. And so this describes what life is going to be like in 2027, including what a typical day looks like. In future journals, I'm probably going to have like a summary page at the beginning where I just like bullet point out the most important points. But this is a really powerful exercise. And I was just emailing somebody the other day talking about procrastination. The most dangerous form of procrastination is where you procrastinate on your dreams. Because there's nothing keeping you accountable there. There's no deadline. There's no, anything that, somebody's expecting something from you. And so if you want to write the great American novel, but you never commit to it with a plan like this, you're just going to keep procrastinating on it indefinitely. And so I think this is a really powerful exercise. I wrote a post about it, which I'll link to in the description, that tells you how to go through this. It gives you some of the questions that I asked myself and my wife. And I highly recommend that everybody, even if you don't end up using a bullet journal, that you create some kind of a plan like this and review it regularly. And of course, I reviewed it at least once a year when I'm having to go and copy the whole thing by hand. So then you move on here. Also every year, I'm going to have goals for the year. And you see this year that I divided things up by my health, my relationship, specifically with my wife this time, personal discipline, career, and education. Those are probably pretty similar to the categories I'm going to stick with going forward, and just different goals. I gave them each different names: Operation Six Pack by Summer, Operation Dating Game Upgrade, Operation Up and Atom. Some of them I'm doing pretty well at, some of them I'm behind, but you'll notice for each one I listed the action steps that I'm going to try to use to complete them. And then I have how success will be measured. So that I can't cheat here. I can't, say like, oh, okay, I kind of worked on this. I have a really specific goal that I'm working towards, and a really specific plan for how to get there. So Operation Up and Adams, that I'm going to set an alarm for 5:30, at least 6 days a week to get up and work on my dream, work on my writing, and it's going to be measured that I'm going to have gotten up early at least 313 days, which is 6 out of every 7 days will get you there. So then this is what's called a monthly log. This is sort of a core aspect of a bullet journal, because these things, this is extra. A bullet journal, you can add whatever you want to. So the 10-year plan, the goals, it's not part of a bullet journal. This looks a lot like what Ryder Carroll set up for his original one, where you just list the days of the month right down the page, and you can put the days of the week alongside next to them. And then you have your list of tasks and things that need to get done, and then you can sort of fill them in where you think you're going to have time to work on them, or when the appointment is scheduled for. So this is a really great way of looking at things. I am super not task oriented. I'm kind of systems oriented is one of the things that I'm figuring out about myself. So you'll notice for me that a lot of these monthly logs are sort of sparse. There's not as much stuff here as you would anticipate. But then that takes us to sort of the next aspect of a bullet journal, which is the daily log. And the daily log, in theory, just the core bullet journal, you add your to-do list maybe, or different appointments and tasks from your monthly log, anything that you see on there that goes to the day. I do something a little interesting, which is I kind of combined the bullet journal system with what's called the 5-minute journal, which is where you list 3 things that you want to do each day, or 3 things that would make today awesome, 3 things that you're grateful for, and then 3 daily affirmations. And so this is powerful because I think gratitude is one of the most underrated, I'd call it a psychology hack, one of the most underrated psychology hacks on the market. Without gratitude, if you're chasing your dreams, you're probably going to just give up because things are going to get tough. You need to remember how good life really is and how much progress you're really making by celebrating small wins, by being grateful for what you have, as opposed to what you don't have. And so this has been a really important part of my life. Every day I'll record what workout I did, even if it's just a small, like here I did a 5-minute plank and I did 10 diamond push-ups. And so that's a nice way of tracking, because as you're pursuing, for instance, fitness goals, we all like to lie and say, oh, I worked out 3 times last week, and it's like, no, you didn't. But if you record things, then you kind of you know for sure. And then also the cool thing is, so this is over here for January 3rd, and so I had a bunch of things that I was writing, but then also I wrote freehand what would, I guess you would call like a traditional diary entry about the day, so that I can remember what happened, because this was a fun adventure day. This is a day where very unexpectedly we got snowed in driving from South Carolina to Florida. Who would have ever thought that you'd get snowed in driving from South Carolina to Florida? But that happened. I wanted to remember it, so I recorded it. And it's nice because just, with the bullet journal, you can put anything that you want here, and, there's room for it, as opposed to if this was a calendar and I'd have like a little box for today, I couldn't write all this, but now I'd have to go put this in another notebook somewhere. But now I have this just in there with my other stuff from January 3rd of this year, and I'll be able to come back in the future and read this and remember that day, and that's really cool. So you see that a lot of the journal is actually taken up by these daily logs here, and it's one of these things where you kind of want to get into a groove with it, and the first couple days you do this, it doesn't seem like you're getting any benefit, and sometimes it gets kind of embarrassing, because if you pay attention, like I have very few days where here I completed 1 out of 3 tasks. Here I completed 2 out of 3, 2 out of 3, 1 out of 3, 2 out of 3. So I'm really bad at getting stuff done, you guys. This is real. I'm not hiding anything from you. This is my actual journal. And it's one of these things where here's a lot of notes. I'm an ideas man, and I'm really good at coming up with ideas. And sometimes my execution needs a little bit of help. But, here's another cool thing where, this is a blog post that I started to outline in my bullet journal. And just so, as inspiration strikes, I have this and I have the space to write things out and to work my ideas out on paper. And so if you can tell, my writing's kind of small. So I don't even know if anybody can see anything that's happening in any of these pages. But this is about nutrition. And not to get too controversial here and alienate people who might be watching this, but of course there's a huge debate in nutrition. Is it calories in, calories out that is making people fat? They're eating too many calories and exercising too little. Or is it the complex carbohydrates like sugar? I am solidly on the side of it is the complex carbs and the sugar, which is a shame because I love Coca-Cola. Partly I'm biased here because I lost over 30 pounds and have kept it off for more than a year with the low carb stuff. But partly it's because I've read a lot of books about this stuff and they all seem to be on this same side of a low carb. But yeah, anyways, I might put some links about that in the description in case you are curious. But right now, let me flip through here. You can see that a lot of my stuff here, it just kind of ends up being the same and looks very monotonous. I used to have it where there would be more different things. Like right now it kind of goes monthly log and then, more daily logs for a while. And then until you get to another monthly log, here's May. You see May was a little bit busier in terms of tasks and stuff. But it used to be that in my, pull over my old journal here, kind of how I do it is there'd be more things interspersed here. So like if you want to take a look, that was a fun one. I had my rejection log, and this was a goal to get rejected. It's a weird goal 100 times because my thought was if I got rejected on different things, I would get accepted sometimes, which as you can see happens. But like, so for instance, my notes, I would put in something called a brain dump. And so it would be this separate page. And so I'd have, and then also my gratitude wasn't part of my daily log. It was on this separate thing. The problem is then I would have to, go over to my daily log. And you see, I used to have these really long task lists. I would have to go over, this is what it looks like, by the way, when I'm motivated. I can get a lot of stuff done, but over time, this isn't sustainable for me. So I would have to write stuff down like on my to-do list, on my daily log, and then I would have to, for each day, come back to my gratitude log. And it was a lot of flipping around, especially too, because then I had, I believe I had like habit trackers. Yeah, so like here in September, I had different habits that I wanted to track. And you see this did not go very well, things that I wanted to do every day, and really only one of them did I do every day. So the flipping around didn't work for me. Maybe it'll work for you. But what I've found is I just keep going and I try to cram as much stuff then into the daily log as possible. And so for me, if you flip through my journal, it's just going to be this interspersion of the daily logs and the monthly logs, other than that stuff that's at the beginning. And so you see here, June, I had a little bit more going on. I released a book. That's actually kind of a fun story. You'll notice, so I wrote and released a book in 2018. And that's kind of an interesting thing, because if you look back, that is nowhere to be found on my goals. I've got a goal for health, Operation Six-Pack by summer. I really wish I had accomplished that one. You have a goal for a number of dates that I want to go on with my wife, a goal for getting up early, a goal for building my email list on my website, and a goal for taking online courses and making sure that I keep learning and growing. Writing a book is not on here anywhere. But what happened is actually this one, I took a course on Udemy that was called How to Become a Best-Selling Author on Amazon Kindle. And so I started taking the course. I realized, my goodness, I can write a book and get it on Amazon Kindle. And so that became sort of my quarter two goal. I started writing, I think, in March, and I got the book out in early June. It's a personal finance book called Personal Finance That Works for You. Actually, hang on. I've got here on my Kindle, an advertisement there. But look, there's the cover. Personal Finance That Works for You, How to Build Wealth, Design Your Future, and Make Money While You Sleep by Matthew Kent. That's me. How cool is it to see my name in print there? But yeah, so if you're interested in the course that I took, I'll put a link in the description. The list price for the course is something crazy like $200, but it's almost always on sale. And if you can get it for less than 20 bucks, it is an absolute steal. So to try to hit some high points here, it's important to have somewhere that you have where you can keep things organized for the future and record things as they come in. I, this year, went about a year into the future. So from January of 18 to December of 18. I think next time I'm going to put 2 years worth of future log in my journal. But then next key is to have somewhere where you have sort of this long-term perspective and you're looking into the future. And most people are human beings are the only creatures that we know of that have discovered the future. And we make such poor use of that special knowledge that we have. So you need something that keeps you future-oriented and looking forward. So the 10-year plan for a remarkable life keeps you looking way into the future. Having short-term goals like 1 year helps keep you a little bit more focused in the moment, but then also, looking towards the future and something that you couldn't just get done in the next couple of days. And then, having the monthly log and somewhere where you can, everything that's coming up that's more immediate, you can look at and the things that deserve your attention. And then, of course, with the daily log, one of the big keys is to try to be flexible with this. So if you want to add in like some gratitude, or you want to, switch things up where you have daily affirmations, things that are, the daily affirmations for me are really important actually, because it helps give you the confidence that you need to move forward. Because like even shooting this video, I'm just struggling with like crippling insecurity and like, man, I'm not going to be able to help anybody. This isn't going to be any good. And of course, it's always short of the vision that I have for it in my head. So, I just need to like write things down. Like, I am likable. That sounds kind of cheesy. But hey, if I don't tell myself things like that, I won't publish videos like these. And then with to-do lists, here's what I've found. And like I said, a lot of times I don't even get done all of my to-do list in one day, even when I have 3. But I think it's really important to try to start small like this with just 3. And like I showed you my other journal, I had, just this whole laundry list of stuff to do. But most people are really bad at identifying the most important goals for the day and the things that are going to really move the needle. And so when you limit yourself to just 3 things that you're going to do this day, it really helps you to focus and to identify the things that are really important. And so on days like this, when you knock all 3 out, you can feel really good that you're moving the needle, you're making progress toward your goal. And so again, my journal here, it looks pretty boring. It's very minimalistic. It used to be a little bit more, it's always been minimalistic, but I used to have a little bit more decorative elements to it. And now this is just kind of like efficient as anything. This is what I need to not waste time setting stuff up. All I do each day is I just put the date and I underline it. And so this keeps me on track. This keeps me moving forward. This keeps my life organized. This is going to be a nice keepsake for posterity, for my kids to look at down the line, and for me to look at to help remind me of how far I've come, to help remind me of what I was thinking about at different times, to capture ideas so that they don't get lost. And really, this is a tool to organize my whole life. You're not going to settle into a groove like this when you first start out. It's going to take a little bit of time. It's going to take a little bit of experimentation. And experimentation is key. But if you work at it, this right here could be the most important tool at your disposal. I highly recommend that everybody everywhere pick up a journaling habit. All right, so there you go. That is my bullet journal. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I really hope that you walked away with some tips and tricks to take your journaling to the next level. If you did enjoy the video, it would mean the world to me if you would subscribe and share this video with somebody that you think might benefit from it. Be sure to also check out the description, because it is chock full of links and resources and fun stuff that could be helpful to you. I really packed a lot in there, and I think that you can get a lot of value out of it. Thank you so much for watching, and good luck on your bullet journal journey.